community and a culture with norms. We write everything in tech. Ever seen a document produced by a mathematician here that isn't written in tech? All the same. It's probably the same tech template as well. We have language to be used with each other. That proof is trivial. These two things are small having distance apart. The intersection of their friendship groups is not empty. You all said it! Now that makes sense in the Part 1B lecture. It doesn't make sense when you're at dinner with your wife's family. Sometimes you forget, and you go, oh, I want to go home. I am home, I am the house, but I'm not home. I don't feel at home. I feel at home here. I can use the language that I can speak freely. This is my dialect. This is where I can talk and entertain myself and others in an open way. This is the community we created. People love staying here. We live at all hours of the morning. There's always a light on somewhere in the CMS. I mean, me at Christmas. So we have norms, we have language, we have heroes, we have Fields medalists, we have IMO medalists, we have people who prove great theorems after the age of 40. We have heroes. We have these heroes in the culture. We name theorems after people. Why do we number our theorems? I just wondered this. We're mathematicians, right? Theorem 1, a squared plus b squared is c squared. All right, let's move from there. Why do we number our theorems? No, we have to name them. We name them because we're in a community, the culture. We show respect to the elders, to the greats before us. Unless you're L'Hopital and you buy something. But apart from that, L'Hopital's rule was bought by L'Hopital, and I am, you paid a mathematician and say, make me a theorem. You go, okay, here you go. So apart from that, so you know what? Some people can always buy their way in. For most of us, it's this cultural, we show respect to those before us. Many mathematicians will claim that the study of mathematics is for its intrinsic beauty. How many people in the world understand Galois theory? It's about as comprehensible as modern art. Some less, more?
Way less.
Actually, at least you put modern art in front of someone, they can say, yeah, it's modern art. They may throw up, but they'll say it's modern art. You put Galois theory in front of someone, they'll say, no.
Think how much people will pay for modern art.
Yeah, no one's paid me anything for Galois theory yet.
Because you can't offer modern art.
Sorry? Okay, so we describe our work as being for its intrinsic beauty. That's why motivation why we do it. But when it comes time to applying for money, how many mathematicians do you know that go to the Arts Council for funding? If your work is detached and pure and beautiful and done for its intrinsic beauty, look, it's amazing, look at that, look at my Galois theory. Right, go to the Arts Council, get some money for that. Here, you can have your 20p of funding every 40 years. No. Then we go, hey, it's useful applications, look how good that is. Hand it over. We're not stupid. We can make it look like it's got use. But that's not why we're doing it. Press mathematicians on this. If you think your work is devoid of moral questions and all this stuff, you just do it for beauty, why do you go to a science council to get money for it? It's because the science council pays more. But why is the science council paying you for it? They're not paying you to enjoy creating more beautiful mathematics. They're not stupid. You're not stupid, they're also not stupid. They're paying you because they know that it'll be useful. Even if within our own community we don't fully accept and appreciate that yet. Why does society pay for us to do this? We don't have a God-given right to enjoy doing math. Society pays for us because it's going to help society. Society realizes this. Governments realize this. Funders realize this. It helps get stuff done. Why do we do it? Well, we say we do it because of applications, blah, 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 send rockets up, blah, 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 communication systems, blah, blah, blah. But I think we all know why we do it. Because it's fun, stimulating, and it gives us a buzz like nothing else can. Put your hand up here if you do mathematics because of the social applications and utility of mathematics. I note to the camera 3 half hands went up in an audience of, what are we, 25? 30, thereabouts? 22. Okay, so at least we're not kidding ourselves. At least we realise that we're doing this because of the fun. We're getting paid to do this because someone thinks it might be useful. The government's paying for most people in this room to be here. Academics, students, there's government loans, they're quite big now, but still. There's academic salaries, they're quite small now, but still. Okay, how'd that happen? Maybe I'm not clever enough to figure that one out. We do it because we enjoy it. Stacked it in. No, stacked it in as part of our pay. You want to get something out of your day's work, you need this much for food and shelter, and then the rest, well, I mean, if I gave you more money and made you work more, you'd use that to go and have more time to do math. So it's kind of, well, just cut out the sort of middleman in here and just pay you less and you have time to do math and building. I've used this term before. I've described this. So the mathematicians sitting down and just doing math because they get a buzz out of it. And a term I've used to describe this is intellectual masturbation. It feels good when you do it on your own, but it would be much more meaningful and more fun if you did it with someone else. Just sitting down, doing math on your own is not fulfilling any purpose in the world. Might be fun, yeah, sure. But if you actually plug yourself into the rest of the world and do it, this is more meaningful, it's more fulfilling. You're still picturing it, aren't you? I'm talking about math. I'm now talking purely about mathematics. And I have an entire, let the camera note that the entire room is in semi-hysterics, but I'm just describing the mathematics. But the parallel is there. That's what makes this kind of fun. The parallel is actually there. It's important to do mathematics with the context of what's going on in the world. And it's actually more fun to realize, oh, I've done this mathematics, and hey, look, this cool thing happened. Rather than, okay, I'm not going to, I will keep describing mathematics, but it'll keep digging me into a hole, so I'm not going to, you get my point. Not being paid by society is to enjoy yourself. You shouldn't be doing that, because you can do much more important things in the world. But maybe no one's really told you this yet. Maybe no one's actually hammered this point home to you. That you can slightly redirect your thoughts and efforts and have a substantially different impact, positive impact on the world that you live in. This is what I mean by the community of what mathematicians are about. Now we'll try and wrap up into the discussion because I think that's some interesting stuff to discuss. So there's a book that I was given when I started my undergraduates. The Man Who Loved Doing Numbers. Who's read it? Hands. About a third of the room. It's a book about Paul Erdős and his life as a mathematician. This should be read as a warning, not as an instruction manual. Okay? Don't go to your friends' houses and stab a carton of milk halfway down to pour a cup of milk underneath the carton on the bench. Which is what Erdős did. So it's a book about Paul Erdős's life. And mathematically, Paul Erdős proved many great theorems, many great insights. And many of his PhD students and their students are here in Cambridge. And students. I can see one in the room. Being a brilliant mathematician I'll rephrase. Being brilliant at mathematics does not excuse some standard human behavior. Just because you can prove great theorems, just because you can do great sums in your head, you can pick up abstract concepts quickly, doesn't mean it's okay to not adhere to the social norms of the world that you live in. You're not excused because of how many alphas you can get on an exam. You're not excused by how many papers you can publish. Those things are commendable, but they are not an excuse for other shortcomings, and you have to address those. The mathematics community has a particular way of measuring people. They take their published papers and they put them on a set of scales and they weigh them. And then they take the next person and put those on the scales. And if B is greater than A, then this person is better. That's your metric. That's the way the community judges itself. By how much math you've done. Not by whether you can tie your shoes, not by whether you're a nice person, how much math you've done. Newton, who was here, mathematically, pretty good. Gave us calculus. Newton was also a prick. But like, a proper prick. People's lives.
Recommend they come to my lectures.
Yes, Pierce will give you Newton's life as a prick in 14 lectures. Abridged. He was master of the mint, if I remember correctly. And if you were coin cutting, if you shaved metal, because coins are made of actual valuable metal. And so if you shaved stuff off a coin, you reduced its value. And so this was punishable by death. And only the master of the mint could sort of reprieve someone from that. Pierce, how many people did Newton reprieve from death as master of the mint?
Well,
approximately, in three significant figures.
Okay, all right. So I mean, we have a lot of the appeals. I mean, in Newton's own papers, you actually have the appeals that these guys would write. Dear Your Excellency, I'm going to die next week, but because of I'm going to get executed and so on. So that you actually can read the appeals that often very illiterate men would write, begging for their lives. And they're pretty powerful. I mean, you need every once in a while to stop being a math moan and show some empathy. And reading these things, you can actually imagine this is a man who's going to be hung next week, and he's pleading for his life. And I only clipped a few coins because my children were hungry. Let me go back to look after my wife and children. I will bring them up as my children as good Christian Englishmen. Yada yada. They're quite desperate appeals. So you can if you put your empathy hat on, it's pretty hard to resist them. And indeed, over Newton's career, that next figure that you come to write is 0.
He was a prick.
A fucking prick.
Good at math. Pretty good at math. What do we think of Newton? Great guy? Build more statues for him? Or maybe not? Or something in between? Erdos also said that mathematics is the surest way to immortality. If you make a big discovery in math, you'll be remembered after everyone else will be forgotten. Maybe? Is this the only way to immortality? Is every path to immortality a good thing? Pretty sure Genghis Khan is fairly immortal. Wouldn't call him such a great guy. So just because you're going to be remembered for your work doesn't mean you'll be remembered positively as a good person. But in our community, your work is your person. There is no detachment of the two. As students, it's your grades. As young researchers, it's your published papers. As older researchers, it's your named theorems and theories that you've built up. Maybe you think, okay, we can objectively criticize mathematical work at least. At least that one we've got down pat. We can make an algorithm and if mathematical work is wrong, we can point the finger and critique it. Okay. So there's a recent proof that came out of the real hypothesis. You may have heard about this. Who would like to write a critique of that particular proof? I think the author was a Mr. Michaelmas, well, not Mr. Professor, His Excellence, Doctor, won every award under the sun, Michaelmas, FRS, President of the Royal Society, Master of Trinity College. It passed, yeah.
Fields Medal.
Fields Medal, Abel Prize, Wolf Prize, you name it, he's got it. Okay, so who would like to write a mathematical critique of Professor Michaelmas' proof of the Riemann hypothesis? Because I'm sure it wouldn't take too long to find a couple of holes. There's things like a piece of Swiss cheese. Any volunteers? No one. Okay. Why not? You could write this critique and it would be perfectly valid. Nice critique of why this proof of, but there are many proofs of the hypothesis that come out every day. You're not going to archive every day. There's someone proving it's true and someone proving it's false. Sometimes the same person, not often. Not seeing the same person on the same day, but the same person will have a proof this is true and they might prove this is false. Okay. So why might you not want to write this critique? Well, basically because you look at this and go, oh shit, this is not the thing I want to do. Because firstly, Professor Chiodo is one of your heroes. Fields medalist, there are many of them. Remarkable mathematical skill and insight. Every prize under the sun. Respect in the community, President of the Royal Society. So that automatically makes you slightly reluctant. You don't just throw out a critique of someone who's so established. You check it twice. Maybe you were naughty or nice, right? You don't want to go up against someone like this very quickly. The other is that who here is considering a career in academia? My hand is half up here. Let the camera note that about half the room put their hand up. Okay. Do you know what might happen to your career in academia if you start throwing out critiques of Michaelmas? Well, you're going to be one of these people now. You just know where this is happening. Because you could destroy your career like that if you wanted to. Because of his standing, because of who he is. I don't think he would, personally. He's a nice guy. But he could. And is that a risk you're willing to take? You're going to write this critique and throw it out there? Or are you sort of going, shit, actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave it here. And you wouldn't be alone. Because the entire mathematical community is standing next to you. Some professors from Oxford wrote some letters to mainstream media organizations saying, you may wish to reconsider the stories you're publishing about this proof because it might not be totally true. These are mathematicians of the highest caliber, one of whom is giving a talk here tomorrow. And even they are ducking for cover. Because this is not a perfect, impartial system. This is a community. And if you start hurling shit, you have to be mindful of where the shit might land. Because it might hit the fan and come back up. You might think, and I'm sure you could, I'm sure almost everyone in this room could critique that proof and find an inconsistency or a point that's not elaborated properly. I think the bit where it says, and thus the Riemann hypothesis is true is where you want to start. But you won't. Because there'll be not much left of you if you do. Yes?
And it's not even that you would be worried that Michaelmas would pick up the phone and call somebody and end your mathematical career. Because, like you, I don't think he would, actually. A, he's a nice guy, actually is a nice guy, and B, he's 91, and probably doesn't lift up the phone and squash academic careers very often. I didn't say never, but very often. But there are lots of his students around who, out of respect for the great old man, would be very resentful if some young Turk stuck his or her head above the parapet and started to badmouth the great old man. And there are students of his who would want to curry favour with the old Grand Baroni, who dada, and so on and so forth. I mean, just think about the network of respect, friendship, loyalties that there are in the mathematical community. You don't have to worry about Michael Atiyah picking up the phone and ending your career. It's his grandchild's student wives who will actually blacklist you.
You don't mess with the mathematical family, because I make you an offer you can't refuse.
Concrete overshoes in the camp.
This is a community. This is what a community and a culture does. Respect is an important part. Just like every other community and culture. I'm not saying we're different, I'm saying we are. We're not just a bunch of totally individual, completely autonomous units bouncing around, exchanging totally true statements, usually totally true statements with each other. Sometimes the exchange is more one way than the other, but you get my point. Finish up by saying that, well, maybe you think, well, actually I can hide in academia as a place to avoid ethical problems. This couldn't be further from the truth. On a simplistic level, I know some professors who will only write a letter of reference for one student if more than one of those students are competing for a job. This is at the academic level. I don't know what the case is for industrial jobs, but I know a professor, and if that person has 2 or more students applying for the same academic job, that professor decides who they should write for. And all other students, interesting, to decide which of his students should apply for a job over the others. And how are you judging those students? Well, maybe you say, we can always judge a mathematician completely impartially. Maybe that's you. Maybe you try and convince yourself of that. Well, we judge mathematicians in a subjective way all the time. You judge mathematicians when you award part marks for an exam solution. Because, to me, mathematically, every exam question should be out of 1. Did you do it, or did you not? What's this half-mark stuff? That's subjective. You do it all the time. I'm sure some of you have marked tests of other mathematicians at some point. You get part marks, that's subjective. You judge mathematicians when you write a letter of reference. You don't just state their theorems and give references for the proofs. You write your personal opinion. You judge mathematicians when you review their research papers and you discuss their perceived relevance or depth. Because to me, every paper review should be the following theorems were proved correctly. Anything more than that, this is not interesting, this is not beautiful, this is not relevant, no one's interested, it doesn't quite fit with the remit of the journal, that's subjective. You judge mathematicians when you sit on a selection committee, on a promotions committee, on an awards committee, on a professorial committee. You do this all the time, judging other mathematicians subjectively, like any other community would do.
Can I interrupt?
One sec. All of these are personal judgments, which go beyond strict mathematical proof and accuracy. You form the community, and you expect other mathematicians, and we expect you to abide by the rules and norms of this community. This is what I mean when I say I understand the mathematical community. We interact as people, and we need to know how that works, because it affects us, and it explains why, ultimately, stuff like this can happen so easily. It's so predictably. So I'm done. Thank you.